It seems the senior moral has been lagging behind lately, not making as much money as they used to, partly because of what many described as the way they are made of movies, with more focus on the female characters. We saw those examples in both the Eternal, Starlight, and Tanner, the third Ant-Man movie, and the Superfilm movie Madam Web. But the third Deadpool movie is the movie that has performed extremely well at the box office compared to those mentioned movies. And it may in itself be the fire that Marvel might need to ignite our friends that once again and perhaps learn a little bit from their mistakes. Today we will look at some reasons why this one is a better one from Marvel and how it perhaps also could have been even better. If I compare this movie to the first two Deadpool movies, which really were not my cup of tea, I think this one is better because the comedy hits me much more than in the first movies where I perhaps felt that Ryan Reynolds was a bit overdone in the role. And let's face it, he still is, but in his movie he shares a spotlight with many other characters that also provides funny moments. In his movie, we joke with everything from Gen Z to Disney, the eternal jokes with Nazgul and this cute little dog. A second reason why I like this movie comes down to the action scenes. Actually, how they are done more stylish than in the first two movies. Because here you have a lot of characters fighting together, a whole horde actually. But they make that look visually highly great on the screen, and you might describe this as a very good popcorn movie that gives you, so to speak, bang for the buck. In general, I think when we add Hugh Jackman as Wolverine to the mix, as the in fact worst Wolverine, a drunk that basically left his friends to die, I think that actually adds a little bit extra spice to see Deadpool and Wolverine together on the screen, because they have got great chemistry in this movie. And seeing the heat between them and the fight between them and how Hugh Jackman rolls right through and makes this one way more entertaining than the first two movies. It is just a blind perfect giant fan ass, because I feel that's exactly perhaps what the two first movies needed. A more angry and brute character to keep Ryan Reynolds in the neck, a bit to balance this action comedy out. Up until now, I've talked about the good stuff about this movie, but there's one choice I will criticize him for. The villain choice of Cassandra Nova, which has this rather strange mind-reading ability, where she puts fingers into the person's face to read a mind. I don't personally think this villain is that interesting, and time again we apparently need female villains in movies now, and nobody says about it. While it worked in the second Doctor Strange movie, here it is just weird to see her using her psychic ability to throw down Wolverine and Deadpool out of thin air, with no explanation of how she is the strongest character in the movie. But I guess the only thing that could stop her was Wolverine and Deadpool together, which is the basis of this movie, the grand adventure and mission together. With Cassandra Nova, it is a quite annoying character that could of course have happened before with a female villain. But I do believe she's the least funny in this one and written in a stiff way that does not help the movie. With a better villain, this movie could easily have been much closer to an 8 out of 10, although some die-hard Marvel fans might have disagreed with me. One other thing I might say about this movie is that it gets like always with the multiverse thing. Although they bring entertaining and enjoyable jokes around it, it does at the same time become a bit too ambitious, because it is a bit messy, and while I think it worked in the second Doctor Strange movie, and didn't work in Spider-Man No Way Home, it feels to me like the multiverse and time-wearing thing from Loki and everything, it's only really done so that Deadpool can joke a lot with it, like he does with everything. Of course, also, when it all cracks down, it is quite funny when now suddenly this strange guy called Mr. Paradox thinks that the two main characters are dead, and now he wants to label them as heroes for stopping Cassandra Nova and destroying the worlds, so she can live in the void and there's no other place left in the universe. On the plus side with this movie, if I compare it to the first two movies, where I felt those were both better in emotion, of course there are some emotional moments in this one, but they are very few and far between. Not to mention that heavy voiceover thing in the first two movies are somewhat gone, because here it is used in a way better way. Not in an odd, annoying way like in the two first movies. They also mentioned that this movie gets way nastier with some of the nastiest jokes you have heard in a long time. At least that felt very good to say. Basically, in this one you ditch the emotion to tell a more action-fueled, wild and dirty comedy kind of movie that pulls the strings that we used to call good comedy movies back in the day. If we go back to Cassandra Nova, I will just say a little bit about her. She has a plan where she just wants to live in the void and there's no other place left in the universe, which is a tamer version of an evil plan. But when they are actually alive, the joke with Wolverine and Deadpool gets even more complete. And while the final battle is a strange CGI thing, where it is not filmed in a cool way, the ending gives a comedy touch that is very cool. So by and large, I did enjoy this movie. And if it will take Marvel to new heights, that's hard to say. But I think Marvel definitely can learn from this movie. Because Deadpool is almost their own franchise, separate from Marvel, that knows how to do it. Although I didn't like the first two movies, I can't understand why someone even might give this movie an 8 out of 10. Because they don't back down on the comedy as much as you see in other movies these days. And the added spice between Wolverine and Deadpool, the other characters in the void, that suddenly fights with them. For instance, Blade or Nice Bull Guy. There's so many cool elements in this movie that manages to build an interesting mix that makes you enjoy it. And that for me, it's a 7.25 out of 10.